I'm going to keep it straightforward because I know how easy it is to feel stuck when a big-ticket gaming PC shows up in your feed. You're probably wondering whether the Legion Tower 52026 actually lives up to the hype, or if you'd be better off pulling the plug and building something else. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. My goal here is to walk through the real-world experience, the daily grind of installing games, the noise level when you crank the graphics, the space it takes in a typical desk setup, so you can decide if this machine is the right fit for you without wasting time or money. First off, let's talk about the kind of gamer who would benefit from a pre-built like this. If you spend most of your evenings on titles that push the envelope, think Cyberpunk 2077 at ultra settings, the latest Battlefield releases, or high frame rate competitive shooters, you'll appreciate the combination of the RTX 5070 and the 7800X 3D. Those two pieces are designed to handle heavy rasterization and AI-driven upscaling, meaning you can hit 144 Hz on a 1440p monitor without constantly tweaking settings. The 32 GB of RAM also means you won't be swapping when you run a game plus a voice chat app and a streaming overlay. In short, if you want to jump straight into the most demanding games now and not worry about a hardware bottleneck for the next couple of years, this is a solid entry point. On the flip side, if your library is mostly indie titles, or you play older games that run fine on mid-range cards, you might be paying for horsepower you'll never tap. The RTX 5070 is a step up from the 4060 Ti line, but it also comes with a price tag that reflects that jump. For someone who primarily streams on a 1080p screen, a lower-cost configuration could free up budget for a better monitor or a more ergonomic chair, things that actually improve your gaming comfort. Now, let's dig into the practical strengths that matter once the box is open. The first thing you'll notice is the ease of getting it up and running. Lenovo ships this tower with Windows 11 Home pre-installed, and the system boots in under a minute on a fresh SSD install. That quick start is a real time saver if you're not a fan of fiddling with BIOS settings or hunting down driver updates. The included 3-month PC Game Pass trial is also more than a gimmick. It gives you instant access to a rotating library of AAA titles, which is a nice way to test the machine's performance before you invest in any games of your own. The storage layout is another practical win. A 1TB NVMe SSD means you can keep several modern games installed simultaneously without hitting the dreaded out-of-space warning that plagues many mid-tier builds. I ran a side-by-side of a fresh install of Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West, and Call of Duty, Modern Warfare II, and the load times were consistently under 5 seconds from the main menu. That translates to less waiting and more playing, especially when you're in the middle of a marathon session. Noise is often an overlooked factor, but it becomes obvious once you sit in front of the tower for a few hours. The Legion series uses a dual-fan solution that, under idle conditions, is barely audible. You could have a conversation without raising your voice. Under full load, the fans spin up to keep the RTX 5070 cool, and you'll hear a moderate whine, but it never crosses into the realm of "my neighbor can hear me." For most bedroom or apartment setups, that's acceptable, especially compared to some boutique builds that rely on aggressive cooling and end up sounding like a jet engine. Thermal performance is where the hidden trade-off shows up. The tower's compact chassis helps it fit nicely under a desk, but the tighter space also means the GPU and CPU run a few degrees hotter than they would in a larger case. In my testing, sustained 30-minute gaming sessions pushed the CPU temps into the low 80s Celsius. That's well within safe limits, but it does indicate that if you plan to overclock or push the system beyond stock settings, you might need to consider aftermarket cooling solutions. The good news is the internal layout is designed for easy access. The side panel comes off with a single latch, so swapping out the SSD or adding an extra HDD isn't a chore. One practical weakness that shows up for users who care about aesthetics is the external design. The Eclipse black finish looks sleek in the showroom, but the matte surface is prone to fingerprints, and the front panel only has a single USB-C port alongside the usual USB-A and audio jacks. If you have a lot of peripherals, you'll likely need a USB hub or a dock, which adds another piece to your desk. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something to keep in mind if cable management is a priority for you. Another point to consider is future-proofing beyond the GPU. The motherboard supports up to 64 GB of RAM, which is nice if you ever want to double.